Hi folks, welcome back to Dungeons and Dry Brushing. My name is Daniel. If you've watched any of my previous videos, you might have heard me talk about how I'm not the biggest fan of Games Workshop models. Or at least not their Warhammer 40k and Age of Sigmar models. I do like their specialist games. I'm a big fan of Mordheim and of Blood Bowl, and I do have some upcoming plans for those, but that's not what this video is about. I was cleaning up here in my craft room the other day, reorganizing things a little bit, and I came across the models for Cursed City. Now, I picked this up when it came out, and it was the first Games Workshop product that I bought in a long time, and of course they famously bungled the launch so badly that it put a lot of people off of it. A lot of hobby YouTubers stopped painting it, stopped talking about it, and the whole thing's still kind of in bad shape, really, even with the expansion that's just come out. But as I was cleaning up, I found the models, and a lot of the models are gorgeous. Really lovely models, very cool, and I want to paint some of them up. Now, I don't know if I'm going to use them for Cursed City. I probably will, but I'm also going to use them for D&D. So I just want some quick, effective paint jobs on these guys, which is why we're going back to Slapshop. Let's get started. For this video, I've selected the hero model of Glorio van Alden. The first step for me is going to be basing, since I do want to prime the base this time. I'm just going to add some texture paste and a simple tuft. The type doesn't really matter since it's going to be primed over anyway. Then I'm going to use a spray of Chaos Black. As usual with the Slapshop technique, the next two steps are a dry brush. I really can't overemphasize how simple this is. You just start with a dark gray dry brush over the entire model to pick out all of the little details and to give us our first level of dimension. I include dry brushing the base in this step. Once that's dry, you repeat the exact same steps with a white dry brush, though hitting less this time. Restrict yourself more to the top edges of things. In this case, I do take care to get a fair amount of this around his face and head to make sure that his skin tone turns out how I want it. Now it's time to start adding color. I decided on Flesh Terror Red for his jacket. All of his key art shows him with a very warm, regal looking palette, and I've decided to stick with something similar. Apply a thin layer of this paint all over the jacket, being careful to keep the brush moving. Work the paint over the surface evenly. While you do, try to keep an eye out for anywhere that it might be pooling that you don't want it to. If that happens, you can just use your brush to redistribute it or to wick it away. I've chosen a warm, dark brown for all of the leather parts of his armor, as well as the straps and belts. I use Skeleton Horde over all of the areas of his fancy jacket that have fur, but once I've applied that, I do come back in with Runic Grey and apply it to the bottom half of all of the furred areas, just to add a bit of extra dimension and color. While I'm personally still not totally convinced of using flesh tones over Slapshop, there is just a little bit of skin showing on Glorio anyway, so I just went for it and gave him a quick coat over his face. For the visible part of his pants, I mixed up a combination of Gryph-hound Orange and Garagax Sewer. I wanted a dark, warm orange without the carrot tone that Gryph-hound can sometimes get. Then we have Black Templar, which is going to be doing a lot of work for us here. This is going to be covering the gloves, the boots, Glorio's absolutely backwards ass haircut, and the sheath of his sword. We're basically leaving out only the wooden grip of his pistol, which will get snakebite leather, his sash, and of course all of the metallic details. For the sash, I want another rich color, like the red of the coat, but still something that's a bit different. I decided to go with Sigvald Burgundy to keep with the rich, warm tones that we've already established. If you get some of this on the mirror at his waist, don't worry, we're painting over that anyway. The majority of the metallics on the model will be steel, so I'm starting with Proacryl's dark silver and giving everything an even coat. His breastplate, pauldron, belt buckles, and the barrel of his gun. I also pick out all of the steel plates on his armored skirt. Try to be careful not to get in between them when you do this, but it's not the end of the world. Once all of the steel is base coated, I take Proacryl's bright silver and just roughly cover the majority of it. I'm not too careful with this, though I do try to leave the darker color at the edges and around any bolts or shadowed details. The more detailed pauldron gets an overbrush and an edge highlight in bright silver. I then repeat this same process, but with a dark gold and light gold for the skull brooch on his jacket, the buttons, the hilt of his sword, and the decoration on its sheath. At his hip, I have a pearl paint from AK that I've been wanting to try, and he seems like the kind of fancy fellow that would have a pearl-handled mirror. So I coat the mirror in pearlescent paint, and then for the actual mirror glass, a simple coat of runic gray over top. That brings us to our second last step, a coat of Nuln Oil over the majority of the miniature. I make sure to apply this to everything except for his skin and the mirror. This is going to make our metal details pop and add extra depth and shadows to our paint job and tilt everything a little more towards that Grimdark style that Cursed City already favors. Now this would be a perfectly acceptable place to stop if you're looking for a tabletop quality mini. Despite how easy it is to do, this is a great look. But I wanted to go one step further and add an extra highlight to his bright red coat. To me, this coat says a lot about the character. It's bright, it's got fur collar and cuffs, and he's wearing it sort of shrugged off of his shoulders like a duelist who needs easy access to his weapons and unrestricted movement. So I want to give it a little extra love since it's a very illustrative part of the model. I take a bright red and just pick out the topmost details of the coat to give them that extra pop that they deserve and to draw the eye. Which brings us to our final result for our first Cursed City miniature. If you want to see more of these in the future, let me know in the comments. There's certainly enough of them in the box. Alright folks, that about wraps it up for Glorio van Alten III. And yeah, apparently this guy walks around calling himself that. Whatever. But as you can see, it's pretty easy to get a simple but effective paint job using just a couple of techniques and a simple highlight. If you wanted to take a little further, you could maybe highlight up the face, the hair, things like that. But for me, the coat is really the character piece on this model. Really shows who he is. So that's what I went with. Anyway, if you like this, please like and subscribe. There is more content coming your way. While this will be the only video this week, next week we're going to have another painting video and a really big Christmas craft video. It should be great. Thanks for watching.